Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nadhi Awalia Sasty, and I'm presenting a reader response interpreting the Variorium by Stanley. So first, what is a reader response theory? So reader response theory is identifies as the important role of the reader in constructing textual meaning, in acknowledging the important role of the readers, and the response differs from the early text-based views found in Euclidism or the brain-based psychological perspective associated with the reading. And the importance of the reader in literary theory has long been recognized, but the role of the reader is usually subordinated to the quality of textuality, which means the place of explanation of the readers as an active participant with the text and the production of the interpretation of the literary work from the point of view of the response theory. So first is Stanley Fish or Stanley Eugene Fish is an American literary critic who is particularly associated with the response criticism, according to which the meaning of the text created and not discovered by the readers. Fish is best known for his analysis of the interpretative community, also known as a branch of reader response criticism, and his work in this field examining how the interpretation of a text depends on the subjectivity of each reader's and experience in one or more communities, and each of which can be defined as a community by textic epistemology. And the reader response theories by Stanley Fish is that Stanley Fish tries to place the reading process in a wider institutional context, and in his earlier work focusing on the reader's experience of literary text, include an important study by Milton, is surprised by scenes the reader in Paradise Lost in 1967. In this work, we suggested that the subject of John Milton's masterpiece is in the fact that readers who forced to undergo spiritual self-examination when led by Milton donned the path taken by Adam and Eve and Satan, until he came out with his essay interpreting the Varium. So, what is interpreting the varium? So interpreting the varium is introduce a first concept of an interpreting community, a concept that is explored more fully in his book Is There a Text in This Class? The Authority of the Interpreting Community, where it raises important questions about the role of institution, and in particular institution, in the construction of meaning. So interpreting the varium, referring to the interpreting text of Douglas Spice and ASP Woodhouse, is a part of thinking that questions at the process of interpretation, and his three-part essay, which makes and break his own argument, questioning the actual process by which we make interpretation, and controversial terms used in the literature, such as a reserve, especially quoted in John Milton's Lawrence of Arthur's Father, Virtuous Sign, can change the entire meaning of a passage. But then the question are raised, namely about what the author's intention, and is it meant to that the readers can draw their own conclusion from what it written, or that the readers make their own choices to change the meaning. Sophists also propose that every text has an author's meaning in it, even if only because the consequences are not empty, and different reader will often come to different conclusions, often because of different historical background. For example, a reader who has extensive knowledge of Greek mythology is more likely to understand reference to a god or goddess than someone who does not have such an understanding of the subject. And this idea that the readers makes the poem is very interesting. He asserts the that we match a word with our own personal meanings to claim that they exist in a literal sense. And however, you have to ask yourself if this is a necessary process. And to make sense of something will often lead the reader to conclusion and assuming the reader's interpreting the text responsibility. And can it mean stray too far from the original intent? And we believe that in interpreting a community, that a group of people who share similar reading characteristics can reach at the same conclusion after reading Kota's special work. And the idea that meaning is not created by the people who write literature, but rather a community using certain skill is questionable too, and what work without an audience. So, a format analysis, the format and verbal structure of the text itself ultimately takes precedence for the reader's experience with the text, and this experience is temporary and entails modification and change of the perspective. And the main assumption of a formal analysis, which this opposes, is that the meaning contained on or echoed in the text is searchable at a glance. And Fish calls this assumption is positivist, holistic, and spatial. Fish objection to such an approach is that is treats the text as an independent entity and ignores or denies the reader's activities. And he argues that what we need to explain is the structure of the reader experience, not the structure available on the page. And the reader activity should be the center of attention that is considered meaningful, not leading to meaning. And these activities, which involve making and modifying various kinds of decision, are already interpretative. Therefore, any description of them will be an interpretation. And points out that his approach differs from the formalist approach in that it emphasizes the temporal dimension and a meaning generation of the reading process. Thank you. And this is the reference I use for the today's presentation. So thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.